I think it's a very good budget. It's an extremely balanced budget because the finance minister has tried to cover every sector of the economy which needs some benefit, some boost. There's something for everyone. There is something for infrastructure, there is something for agriculture, there is something for farmers, there is something for the youth, there is something for education, there is something for job creation, and speaking specifically of our business, there is a lot for the affordable housing segment. So it's a huge plethora of benefits or a huge plethora coverage of different sectors which the finance minister has done. So I would say it's a very, very balanced and a very, very good budget. Consumption also has got a boost. What I liked about the budget was a few things. One is that the fiscal deficit has been brought in at 3.2%. People were believing that it could be higher because of a variety of reasons, but since that has been brought in at 3.2%, it brings in a lot of fiscal prudence. And also for next year, he said it would be 3%. Tax collections are a lot higher than what was originally envisaged, which is also good because higher tax collection effectively means lower borrowing for the government. Lower borrowing for the government will go a long way in reducing interest rates in the system. I think there are three benefits for housing. One is the infra status that you are talking about. Infra status effectively means that funds will be available at a lower cost. That is the most important benefit. And the second benefit is to builders, that the profit that they make on construction of affordable housing units will be tax exempt for a certain period of time. But to me, the other two important features on housing that have been announced in the budget is one is that the period of capital gains tax has been reduced from 3 years to 2 years, which means to qualify for long-term capital gains, you no longer need to hold the asset for 3 years, you can hold it for 2 years. But more than that, to me, the biggest benefit for the housing sector came out of what the Prime Minister had announced on 31st of December, when he had said that for up to 9 lakhs of rupees, there will be a subsidy of 4%, and for up to 12 lakhs of rupees, there will be a subsidy of 3% for the life of the loan. Now, the criteria on who will be eligible for these subsidy amounts has not yet been announced. But one would expect that now that the budget is behind us, in the next few days, this scheme will be announced. Now, the benefit that I see from this scheme, if you look, even today there is a scheme for affordable housing. That scheme says that if a person is a first-time home buyer, he's buying a property which is less than 65 square meters, and his income is less than 6 lakh rupees a year, then he will be entitled to a 6.5% subsidy for the life of the loan. Now, in the new scheme which the Prime Minister has announced, and as I said, the details are awaited, there I would expect that they will enhance the scope, enhance the eligibility of people who will benefit from this scheme. So instead of restricting it to people whose income is 6 lakh rupees a year, I would expect that this scheme will now permit or will bring the benefit to people who are earning more than 6 lakhs of income. It could be 8 lakhs, it could be 10 lakhs, whatever it is. And also the size of the apartment could be increased from 65 square meters to a higher number. So these two benefits, or this if it is implemented, can bring in a huge number of people within the subsidy net. And if that were to happen, that would go a long way in encouraging builders to build these kind of apartments, which would kickstart economic growth. Jobs would get created. Housing is a very large job creator, as we all know. So jobs would get created, consumption will increase. So the side benefits of doing something like this would be immense. But we need to wait for a while to get the details of the scheme. Well, home loan rates have already come down significantly from the rates that prevailed a month and a half ago. And the reason for that really is that because of demonetisation, everyone has gone and deposited all the cash that they had with the banks. With the result that banks have got huge amounts of liquidity, and that liquidity has driven interest rates lower. But the more important thing for pushing growth, for pushing demand for housing, is just a belief that house prices have stabilized, and the status of the individual is the feel-good factor is there, and that he would come in to buy houses. But I think this subsidy scheme which has been announced is a huge benefit. Well, demonetisation brings in a huge benefit in the sense that it helps in widening the tax base. What the finance minister said to me was very, very surprising, and I know we've heard this data before, that there are only 24 lakh individuals in India who declare an income of more than 10 lakh rupees a year. To me, I think that is an extraordinarily small number of people who are declaring the income. Also, if you look at companies, I think the finance minister said that there were 7,800 people who declare, or who are companies, 7,800 companies which declare an income of more than 10 crores. To me, I think these numbers are significantly underreported. And by demonetization, because of demonetization, a lot of people who've gone and deposited large sums of money into the bank account, they can get investigated and they could be brought within the tax net. So that would widen the number of people who would pay taxes. Now, as I said, affordable housing, it is, if you look at the definition of affordable housing, it is still awaited. What the Prime Minister said on 31st December when he announced these two schemes of 9 lakhs and 12 lakhs, the details of that scheme are still awaited. So one has to wait and see what the definition is given in terms of the income of the individual and the size of the apartment. Obviously, it's very beneficial to the real estate sector because the construction activity will pick up for the reasons that I mentioned earlier, which is that affordable housing is given infrastructure status, and secondly also because of the subsidy schemes once the details are known. So it will be very beneficial for the real estate sector, but real estate, you have to understand, supports a whole host of industries. There are nearly 276, well, the number they say is 276, it could be higher, industries which depend on the housing sector, housing and construction sector. The core ones are the cement manufacturing companies, the steel manufacturing companies, paint manufacturing companies, but there are also a whole lot of other industries and which depend on the housing sector. Also, housing is a huge employment generator. So whether you're looking at construction workers, you're looking at masons, carpenters, plumbers, and so on and so forth. So a whole lot of job gets created. Now, when jobs get created because of a boost in construction activity, that job leads to income, income leads to more consumption, and consumption leads to faster capacity utilization. So therefore, with the reduction in the tax rates in certain slabs, what would effectively happen is that there will be more money left in the hands of people compared to what it used to be before, because they are paying less taxes. If more money is left in the hands of people, they will tend to consume more. They will need to spend more money. If they spend more money and consume, that consumption will lead to faster capacity utilization, which in the long term would lead to faster pickup or a quicker pickup in the investment cycle in the economy, private sector investment cycle in the economy.